Hey guys, Elliott Bayev here from Fight2Unite here at Yorkdale Martial Arts with Professor Marco Costa, one of the OGs in the Ontario grappling scene, head of the Body of 4 team, one of the biggest teams in Ontario and actually the world. You've got some affiliates in
Colombia.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
How did that come about?
Actually, I had this young lady. She's awesome. Her name's Natalia.
Mm-hmm.
We love her. She's fantastic. She came and trained with me a few years ago, and she trained for I think it was 3 months, maybe more. But then she went back home to visit some family. She wanted to continue training. She found a local academy to train at, and they're like, "Oh, you're doing really well. There's a tournament on the weekend." So she went to the tournament, ended up winning her division, and then, which is the other thing is like, "Oh, there's an open belt, open division white belt," and she was a white belt. I'm like, okay, I've never heard of open division white belts, but tournaments in Colombia, they're still growing. They're literally like 10 years behind us as far as organization. They have a lot of talent, but organization-wise, the tournaments are like far behind, definitely. So they invited her back. They said, "Oh, there's money in it." It's peanuts, but still, there was some money in it. So she ended up winning the open division as well. So they kind of opened the eyes a little bit. The gentleman who owned that academy at the time wasn't too happy with his current affiliation. So I said, "Hey, I'll help any way I can, but I don't know how that would work." And then one thing led to the next, and then they ended up becoming an affiliate of mine. And then they started to have some success. So another affiliate kind of joined, and then another one. So now I'm up to 4, and I go down every year, and it's been an incredible experience. I really, really love going down there.
Brilliant. And I know you've got a number of affiliates in Ontario as well.
11.
Amazing.
11. Some smaller, some are a little bigger, but 11.
Very cool. And tell us a bit about your history in Jiu-Jitsu. You've been doing it obviously a very long time. When did you get started?
Actually, I started in martial arts when I was 17, and this is like a really current story we hear all the time, right? I started when exactly. So I started with Taekwondo at 17. It was a little soft for me, so I ended up when I wanted to actually test myself, so I went into Muay Thai. I had a few amateur fights, and that was tough, man. Muay Thai is a tough sport. I got banged up pretty good for a few years. And then, of course, 1993, November 12th, UFC 1. And I was a martial arts fanatic, I collected everything that I could get on combat sports, period. So, 93, I was like, wow, that's incredible. Royce Gracie did his magic, and we all wanted to do what Royce was doing. Of course, there was no Jiu-Jitsu in Canada at the time. This is 1993, right? So I started looking for other things to do. So I went with Judo. That was the closest thing that was, to what Jiu-Jitsu was. At least I had the basic ground game, and of course, some really good throwing. So I did that for a few years, and then I met Monkey, Richard Danko. We met actually at the Judo Club. And it's like, oh, there's something going on Bathurst Street. I think some Brazilian gentleman is coming, and it was at Professor Franco's place at the time. He had a karate academy, and he joined Professor Silvio, now Master Silvio's affiliation in Brazil, and then we just started training there. Mm-hmm. So that was 1997-ish.
Mm-hmm. So way back.
Yeah, 1997. It was a long time ago.
Yeah,
and then just trained. Back in the day, it's different than what it is today. What the sport is today. My friend and myself and my colleagues, we got into BJJ for MMA. We wanted to fight. We wanted to get in the cage, and we wanted to fight professionally. And then we learned self-defense because we wanted to be able to handle ourselves on the street. And the sport was like the third piece we did for fun. And back then it was like 2-3 tournaments a year. It wasn't that many. If that. But now, once the IBJJF moved the Worlds to California, they changed everything, and now it's upside down, right? Everybody doing sport, maybe some do self-defense, and then occasionally you have some talent that does MMA. But I'm talking about the Canadian scene. We all know the American scene is way different. Yeah. They heavily still have emphasis on the MMA scene. But I feel like Ontario, because this is where we have most of the understanding of what's going on in the industry, it's sport first, self-defense second, MMA third.
And what's your philosophy? What do you teach here at Yorkdale Martial Arts?
Well, I find that with the culture, I think the culture and the country's culture has a lot to do with what's popular and what's not. And I find that I've tried, and for years and years and years, to educate people of the importance of self-defense. But we live in such a safe country that that's a hard sell. I honestly believe that's a hard sell because a lot of people could live their whole lives without seeing violence, real violence. There's pockets, of course, in every city. There's pockets where you shouldn't go, but I think the majority of people are not living in fear. Especially in Toronto or in Canada in general.
Well, I think especially if you encounter a situation, you try to handle it respectfully, and I know respect's a big thing to teach here, so you can probably avoid violence even if you come close to it. Right?
So I find that's a difficult sell, so the sport is way more popular, and you can see by the growth of the tournament scene in Ontario, and that should tell you, they should tell everyone everything. So yes, the majority of my classes are geared towards the sport, but I do have self-defense classes as well that I provide. But the truth is, the sport is more fun.
Awesome, and so now you've got this very big team doing very well in the competition.
Yeah, I'm pretty proud of everyone.
Yeah, what are your goals for the next 2, 3, 5, 10 years?
I just want to continue to promote Jiu-Jitsu. I love Jiu-Jitsu. I'm passionate about Jiu-Jitsu. I've dedicated my whole life to Jiu-Jitsu. And anywhere I can to help promote the sport is where I want to be involved. So promoting tournaments, supporting tournament organizers. Of course, with the JJIF coming in the scene, so it's been a tremendous honor for me to be the national coach. So that for me is like, it had nothing to do with Body of 4. It's about the nation of Canada, and Canada's done a lot for me, so I want to give back there. Of course, continue to try my best to lead with the BO4 team, continue to hopefully stay in the top in the rankings, and providing them with good Jiu-Jitsu. I find it really challenging now as we grow. I think it's going to be even more challenging going forward because the sport is evolving so rapidly. There's so much going on, and so many amazing techniques every year. So it's very challenging for an older guy like me to try and keep up with all that. I think it's fun. I think it's fresh to keep. If you don't keep up with that and you don't stay a student, I think that you're going to get left behind.
For sure.
So I think finding a balance between teaching fundamentals and basics to a novice student, and then trying to also keep up with the modern sport, so you can help your athletes, the more dedicated athletes that are competing frequently.
At those higher levels. So how are you keeping up as the sport is evolving so much? How are you getting new techniques or evaluating new techniques?
I know that some of the older guys kind of bash on the YouTube thing or the online video study thing. For me, I'm a visual person.
Sure.
I am very good at breaking down video and seeing small nuances of what is happening in the video. Sometimes I even mute what the person is saying and just focus on what's happening. Because a lot of times, when you have YouTube videos or instructional videos, there's a time allotted type of thing, and not every single detail is being addressed. Right? So I love video. I love studying video. I love continuing to be a student. And the world is full of incredible professors. Amazing professors. And you have. You're part of an organization that has some of the best instructors in the world. John Danaher's, and even your Professor Sean Williams, he's amazing. So there's so many amazing people out there, and the information is very easily accessible. So it's not like back in the day where I was cutting out magazine articles, and cutting out pictures, trying to figure out. Yeah, exactly. So as the sport evolves, everything else around it evolves too. So my advice, of course, to professors out there is to try to keep up with the changes. Don't resist the change. Adapt to the changes. And it's challenging, it is challenging because,
work, right?
well, at 44 years of age and some of the issues I have with my neck and shoulders, I do have a hard time, like I wouldn't be able to, I think, apply these things live, rolling, but I could definitely break it down.
Sure, you can still study it.
You can still study it.
Understand it. And
Exactly, exactly. So I'm just trying to study as much as I can and try to stay up to date with what's going on. So that keeps it fun for me because I love to learn. So it keeps it fresh, it keeps it fun, it keeps me motivated.
Awesome.
So, yeah,
Cool.
definitely.
Well, thank you very much. Appreciate the time.
Thank you.
Appreciate everything you're doing for your
Yeah,
students.
absolutely.
You're going to show us the technique?
Yeah, I'm actually. I hope you don't mind.
Please.
I'm actually gonna big up your professor, Sean Williams,
Yeah,
because
please.
what I'm gonna show is actually one of his things.
Awesome.
Just maybe with a little bit of my take on it. So yeah, this is going.
Okay.
So I'm gonna go with near side under.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I love near side under. But I don't want to get too much into how to enter it because I think there's different ways to enter into it. I'll do it from knee cut.
Okay.
Most of the time you've seen the videos out there is from half guard. And I didn't want to do the same kind of thing like everybody else. So with your basic entry, locking the hip, you know everybody's gonna get that frame, right? Everybody's gonna kind of get this frame. So I'm gonna scoop his elbow with my hand, and I'm actually gonna go back into half guard, which seems a little bit counterproductive, but if you tried cutting, you've tried everything else to pass, and it's not working, right? Then I want to get to a position where I can methodically work my way through, right? So off of my frame, I'm actually gonna throw my knee on top of his knee, and I'm gonna slide my hand on the knee. Okay, so let's just do that first part again. So I'm in my knee cut entry, I got my placement, his frame, and he's trying to block. I'm gonna bring this knee on top of that knee, and as I'm trying to control the elbow, and I'm going. Now here's the most important part as far as what makes it or breaks this move is the pressure on the armpit. So when I get my grip, I'm gonna drive my shoulder into the armpit as much as I can. Flying my elbow. So instead of normally where everybody teaches to drive the head to that side and kind of go to mount, I'm actually going to block my hip here. And I have my hand on the hip anyway. And I'm on my toes on the back here. Make sure I have what I call the kickstand so they can't push me over. So and they will try, right? But lots of head pressure, lots of shoulder pressure, flaring the elbow, and a lot of times they do close the half guard on me, but that's okay. That's why I have the hand and my knee and elbow connected all the time. And then I'm patient there. I'm patient. I gotta grab the outside the pants and push it down, and just I'm patient. Right? I can go to Professor Williams' idea of the other side and the pressure. Most of the time, I just kind of stay here and take my time. I'm gonna slide my knee on top and start to work. My back step, and then as I drive, I'm going to force you to turn the elbow, and that's it. 2, 3, 4. Now from here, you guys can do your own thing, whatever you prefer. Let's do that again. So with your basic knee cut, hip control, they're framing, trying to block the pressure, and then we'll control the elbow. Drive the knee on top of his knee. Slide my hand on the knee. And drop. Falling on my hip, keeping my head nice and low. I go to control just in case they close some kind of half guard. I keep my elbow and my knee connected. Control, punch it down. A slight lift. Push to clear. Always head heavy. And then I'm gonna block the hip and force the hand to the mat. As soon as the hand hits the mat, I'm gonna chase it. Tuck it in and keep control. From there, you know how it goes, back take, step over, Kimura trap, come around the head, you take it for what it is after that.
Very cool, yeah, I love the near side under.
I love it, it's great.
But most people do teach to try to mount and go the other way
They go
instead
the other
of
way.
coming back out to pass, so that's awesome.
I really like that one.
Awesome, thank you very much.
Thank you very
Appreciate
much, brother.
it.
Appreciate it.